This is McKenna Collins, host of Table Talk. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Kim Meyer, the host of Choose to Rise here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Choose to Rise, where we talk about living with positive mindsets, how to increase our confidence, building our faith, and living out our life on purpose. A new show comes out via podcast every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you want to catch the episode live instead, stop by Public House Media around 6:45 Central Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Choose to Rise. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Throughout history, the course of sports has been shaped by one thing: the fans.
From the moments you never dreamed of
to the moments that still give you nightmares.
Behind the bag, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Brady has his fifth.
through the good and the bad, fans have helped change the games we watch and the players we love.
They may not be the most logical people, but they know their teams better than anybody.
They'll blow in the ninth.
You may not always see them, but you know where to find them.
After all, there's nothing quite like the view from the cheap seats.
Broadcasting as part of the Public House Media Network.
Grab a chair and enjoy all there is in the cheap seats.
A glorious Monday to you all, and welcome once again in the Cheap Seats, presented by Squadcast.fm here on the Public House Media Network. As always on Mondays, Christian Heimel, John Lauder here with you. So happy to once again be back with you guys here on the show. It's been a fun weekend, an interesting weekend. John, Major League Baseball is back in action. A fun resumation, is that the right word? Resuming, second act, whatever the heck we're going to call it, to Major League Baseball. But unfortunately, John, the NFL continues to somehow be in the headlines.
Well, that was not the right word. That was not even really English, but that's okay. Oh man. Well, you know what? It's Monday morning. We're tired. By the way,
Exactly.
we're presented by Squadcast.fm. Before we forget, if you've ever wanted to make a podcast, if you've ever wanted to say words that don't make sense in an audio form, make sure you go to Squadcast.fm. Also go to the Public House Media Facebook page. The Cheap Seats by Public House Media. Go to Public House Media's website. Follow us on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, the NFL is a disaster with the Anthem stuff. People hating on the Patriots. The NFL, no sport I think ever, and no league ever has needed a season to start more than the NFL. They'd be better off if they were 12 months a year.
It's unbelievable that this is a league and a sport that wanted to be 12 months out of the year. They are, and it's the worst thing that could have happened to them.
It's such a disaster.
But we'll get into all of that. Yeah, we'll get into all that in just a little bit, John, because Forza Italia, Francesco Molinari winning the British Open over the weekend, which was an exciting British Open that featured Tiger Woods on the verge, on the prowl on Sunday, and then featured really kind of a bunch of guys choking on Sunday at one of the toughest courses the British Open sees.
Yeah, it was so bizarre, Christian, because the first couple of rounds, the scoring was not super high. Then in the third round, and that's been Tiger Woods' best round. In 2018, he's got the best average third-round score of anybody on tour. And He was killing it. Everybody was, it seemed like. There were low scores all over the place. And then in this final round, it was a disaster. I mean, American golfers were, choking everywhere. And, give credit to Molinari, who used to be a caddy and now is the first Italian ever to win the British Open. It's his first major. Pockets almost $2 million. But what an exciting final round to have Tiger Woods in contention, Jordan Spieth in contention, Rory McIlroy, all these Americans near the top, a Brit and Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood was up there. Really exciting final round, but give Molinari credit. Well, all these players seem to be choking, and there was a lot of wind, and it was a very tough final day. Molinari did what he had to do, shot a good round, and comes up with an exciting victory. But the biggest story coming out of this, of course, is Tiger Woods. For him to play this well at a major, I don't know. I wasn't even sure if we would ever see him in the top 10 again at a major. And now, of course, he's a 16-1 odds to win the PGA, and everybody's thinking he's got a shot there. I don't know about that, but this was definitely a good thing for golf, and but impressive victory there for Molinari for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. We're going to forget about Francisco Molinari and him winning this Open pretty quickly, simply because we're going to sit there and go, this was Tiger's best round. This was as close as he has been to putting it all together since his comeback, and it's kind of scary when you look at that Saturday round and see what he can really do. Sunday, he was right there. It looked like he was going to make a run at it, and then all of a sudden, a couple of double bogeys there really kind of hurt him. So it's just, he's right there on the cusp, which golf needs. I think we all understand that and recognize that, but give credit to Molinari. I don't know if I'm more excited to see what Tiger Woods has still in the tank, if he can put it together for a full weekend, or if I'm more disappointed in Jordan Spieth and how he kind of just really fell by the wayside on Sunday.
Yeah, if you look at American golfers, what a disaster this final round was. Kisner and Xander Souffle, I don't know how you say his last name.
Shifley.
Yeah, whatever. Souffle just sounds delicious. So both of them 3 over in the final round. Woods goes even. Yeah. Kevin Chappell 2 over. Matt Kuchar 1 over. Tony Finau even. Jordan Spieth 5 over. The American golfers, just an absolute train wreck in the final round. And you look at all the golfers that finished, in the top 12, and only 4 of them were under par. Patrick Cantlay was 1 under. Eddie Pepperell, who I think he's an amateur. Was 4 under. And then Justin Rose and Molinari were 2 under each. Oh, and Rory McIlroy was 1 under. So only 5 out of the 12, finished under par. It was a really tough final round. And, you got to give credit to Molinari for sticking in there. And he was 6 under in that third round. So he took advantage of the one round where you could really get the low scores, and then did enough to win in the fourth round. But back to Woods. At one point, he was winning. I mean, he was leading this tournament. It was the first time since 2009 that he had the lead in the final round of a major, and then he double bogeyed, and that was it. But still a really exciting, final round. And, as much as golf purists don't want to say that you need Tiger Woods, you need Tiger Woods, and this helps them a lot going into the PGA, that's for sure.
Yeah, until Dustin Johnson figures out, who, by the way, you talk about American golfers. How about the number one ranked golfer one of the number one ranked golfers in the world, Dustin Johnson, missing the cut completely? That's embarrassing for American golfers. But I mean, Tiger was phenomenal. Molinari was great. It was just unfortunate to see guys like Spieth, the defending champ, to go 5 over on Championship Sunday was a little difficult there. So congrats to Molinari. We now focus on the fourth major, the PGA Championship coming up in a few weeks, the Wanamaker Trophy to be handed out, the final major of the year. You're in the cheap seats here on Public House Media. We are, as always, presented by Squadcast.fm. Christian Heimel along with John Lauder. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. You can find me there at Chris Heimel, ChrisHeimall. John is at JON_LAUDER. Mentioned that the NFL cannot get out of its own way. We are going to touch on the Anthem, and I'm using this in air quotes, policy, because it apparently is null and void or non-existent or whatever it may be, whatever the issue is. We'll get into that in just a little bit, John. But first, before we get into what is kind of the laughing stock of the NFL right now, when did James Harrison become the best insider that the NFL has ever seen? Like, should he be on the press corps right now for the New England Patriots? Because he's getting more dirt out of this camp than anybody ever has.
I just feel like everybody, when it comes to the Patriots, has something to say. Whether it's Danny Amendola, it's so weird. The Patriots have won 5 Super Bowls and are the epitome of what a franchise should be in American professional sports, and yet nobody can keep their mouth shut about them ever. It's so weird to me.
And yet James Harrison is getting dish on, saying Belichick is better than Mike Tomlin. There's no such beef between Brady and Belichick like we've all thought there was, but just kind of interesting and kind of strange to note that you get this stuff coming out of these Patriot camps all the time.
Yeah, but you know what? It's ridiculous to me to compare Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin. I mean, Bill Belichick has 5 Super Bowl rings.
It's ridiculous to compare Bill Belichick to anybody.
That's true.
It's ridiculous to compare him to anybody. I mean, he's on another plane, so I don't think James Harrison's breaking any news there by saying he'd pick Belichick over Tomlin. But it's just kind of interesting. Like, this is the state that the NFL is in. We're making headlines off what James Harrison is saying about the Patriots instead of, Aaron Rodgers Andrew Luck almost fully healed and fully physically ready to play this year, finally, for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, that is huge. You hope he stays healthy. You just don't know. I mean, he was well on his way to being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He was right up there, and then the last couple of years have been a disaster. And quite frankly, he literally holds the future of the Colts in his hands because they have waited on him, and they've had opportunities high in drafts to take quarterbacks, and they haven't done it because of luck. So if he can't come back to full health, they're screwed. Period.
You're not wrong there. Plenty more to touch on with regards to the NFL. When we get back, this anthem policy debate, this issue, this constant thing that just keeps popping up and keeps dragging down what is one of the most popular sport in the country. We're going to discuss that in just a little bit. We'll also bring you our poll question here, which you can go vote on, the Cheap Seats by Public House Media on Facebook. Don't forget to check us out on thephmedia.com. You are in the Cheap Seats, presented by Squadcast.fm on the Public House Media Network.
This is Katie, co-host of Coffee with Keith and Katie here on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Coffee with Keith and Katie, where we talk about the adventures of our daily lives and relationship. A new show comes out every Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Coffee with Keith and Katie. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Big L, rest in peace. Rest in peace. You wanna mess with this? One of the best yet. We've got it.
Back here inside the Cheap Seats on the Public House Media Network, presented by Squadcast.fm on this Monday, July 23rd, 2018. John Lauder and Christian Heimel with you as we are every Monday morning at this time. Make sure you go to the Cheap Seats by Public House Media's Facebook page. You can answer the poll question. We talked about this in the first segment. Is Tiger Woods finally back, yes or no? I'm not really convinced. I don't know about you, Christian, but make sure you go and answer the poll question. Is Tiger Woods finally back? And I don't think it's a simple question. Obviously, he played really well at the British Open, but I don't know. To me, until he wins a major, he's not back, but maybe that's unfair.
I think a major might be unfair. For him to win a tournament, I think we would prove that he's back. Just any tournament that maybe actually has some sort of competition to it. But this is the closest we've seen him to being back. At least Saturday was. And he was right there in the hunt. And I think, anytime you can say Tiger Woods is on the leaderboard in the Sunday of a championship atmosphere, he's closer to back than he is. So I'm leaning more towards yes than I am no.
You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at John_Lauder. That's JON_LAUDER. You can follow Christian at Chris Heimel. That's CHRISHEIMALL. And Christian, let's talk NFL anthem policy. This was a disaster from the beginning. It's continuing to be a disaster. And will they ever get it correct? And I'm really not sure. We've got Donald Trump, who has much more important things to worry about. Tweeting about this left and right, and this just continues to be an issue, Christian. It's been months and months and months, and we're still dealing with this garbage, and I don't understand why.
It's all about dollars and cents. It's the fact that this is what most sponsors care about. This is what it's the most popular sport in the country, and there's so many billions of dollars associated with it that any sort of negative PR for anybody who's involved, whether it's a player, whether it's a staffer, whether it's a sponsor, a broadcast entity, any sort of negative PR that's going to take money away from them becomes a big issue. Now, do I think that it's a lot of overreaction and it can be solved pretty simply? 1,000% I believe that. It's really, really simple. You get the Players Association in a room with the owners and with the NFL, and you figure it the hell out. And you don't come up with these stupid backroom straw poll policies, which like the NFL has had. You don't have teams like the Dolphins saying we're going to suspend guys 4 games, and then have teams like the Niners and the Jets saying we'll pay the fines of our players who are punished from the NFL. There's too much random decision-making going on and too many different decisions going on when literally what you do in this situation, you throw the 2 children in a padded room and you say, until you can figure this out, we're not letting you outside. That's simple.
Yeah, and that seems to be what they're going to do. The NFL Players Association said in a joint statement this past Thursday they were halting enforcement of all Anthem rules while they work out a solution. Why did they not do this at the beginning? The league claimed...
That's the same part.
Yeah. It's crazy. It just makes absolutely no sense.
It's been, John, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years.
Right.
2 years since Colin Kaepernick first sat during a national anthem, first took a knee. 2 years. 18 months since Colin Kaepernick actually set foot onto a football field. And we still haven't figured this out. That, to me, is more damning. And it's Players Association and their inability to work together than anything else. That is the problem. Is the fact that we spent 2 years talking about this and nobody is actually taking a step forward and trying to fix it. That's the bigger issue.
And how crazy is it that Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid can't get a job, can't get on a team, but Josh Hader doesn't even get a slap on the wrist in the MLB?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the Josh Hader thing, and we can touch on that a little bit later because I know you really want to talk about it.
Yes.
But here's my thing with Kaepernick. Like, there may be, 2, 3 NFL teams that realistically could use him. As much as I understand, listen, I want him to be in the NFL. He should be in the NFL. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. But Eric Reid, more so than anything else, deserves to be on the football field right now. So it's more so at this point, John, Colin Kaepernick is out the window, in my opinion.
I agree.
It has nothing to do with him anymore. He is the martyr. He has been martyred. It's time to move on and actually pick up the pieces and figure this thing out. That's the more important part, because you cannot keep having this back and forth of the NFL is going to make a stand, then they're going to retract it. The NFLPA is going to file a grievance. The Dolphins are going to start suspending guys. You need to actually have a uniform decision. Why on earth? And this is amazing. There's a great article, I think it's in the Boston Globe, about why the NBA doesn't have this issue, despite the NBA having the same societal culture that the NFL does. And it's amazing because the NBA is a league that understands the social background of its players, understands the social activism of its players, and gives them the opportunity to make those statements in other forms. They allow players to wear their shirts, to wear their socks, their headbands in pregame. The NFL doesn't allow that. Do you think this would be an issue? Honest to God, do you think this would be an issue if Kaepernick was allowed to wear that I Can't Breathe t-shirt pregame as opposed to kneeling during the anthem? Do you think he would trade that off? I think he would.
No, you're right. I mean, who was it? I think it was D'Angelo Williams wanted to wear the pink cleats for breast cancer, and they wouldn't let him wear them.
Yes, they wouldn't let him wear them. Why can't he? Like, this is the stuff the NFL is so asinine about. They're so afraid of protecting the shield, protecting the brand, when instead what they should be worried about is protecting the well-being of their players and the culture that they represent, the society that they represent. There are so many people and so much more good the NFL could be doing if they just let their players be the humans that they are. And they don't allow that. The NBA does. It's why you saw during the whole Donald Sterling case. Look at the Donald Sterling case first and freaking foremost.
Yeah.
Donald Sterling versus National Anthem in the NFL, and you'll see how starkly different the two sports leagues are run by the commissioner and by the league. The NBA handled that beautifully. They took the team away. They allowed the Clippers to protest, allowed it, almost encouraged it. The NFL, we can't get out of our own freaking way when figuring this thing out.
You are listening to the Cheap Seats here on the Public House Media Network, presented by Squadcast.fm. John Lauder, Christian Heimel with you, talking about the NFL anthem policy. And to me, the solution is simple. You allow the players to do what they want to do before the game, and then, therefore, everybody should stand for the national anthem, and then we move on with our lives.
1,000%. It should be call up. Roger Goodell should literally be sitting in Adam Silver's office, taking notes like a child in the front row trying to get that A at the end of the semester to avoid summer school. That's what he should be doing. He should be frantically scribbling notes on a piece of paper to try to figure out how to do this from Adam Silver, because the NBA has it figured out, and let them do whatever they want. They want to wear, but here's the other part, John, and this is the really important part. The NBA, you see this, they have these bumpers when they come back on national TV broadcasts where it's NBA Cares, and they mention they have all the players doing those things. They have little clips of them out doing charity work. You don't see that with the NFL. Every now and again, you'll see a Walter Payton Man of the Year thing, but that's almost hidden away. The NBA showcases what it does as a league from a humanitarian effort. The NFL puts the onus on the players, and that's where the NFL also needs to step in and start doing stuff league-wide.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just incredible to me that a league that is the most popular in America, makes the most money, could screw up this often, this constantly, and be this much of a disaster. It seems completely, ass backwards, for lack of a better word. It just makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I mean, back honestly in I think it was May or January, when the Players Association and the NFL said they were going to come together to form some sort of committee that was going to have a $80 million budget to help with social activism in the NFL. I'm like, this is great. We figured it out. We're done. We don't care anymore. And then in May, they come out with this stupid backdoor straw poll that they turn into an actual policy about the anthem. Like, they had it figured out, and then they just went. It's like they built a tremendous Lego of like the Taj Mahal, and then as soon as they put the cherry on top, they went, we're just gonna throw it over a bridge. And what do we care? Like, this is unbelievable how they do it. I cannot understand it.
Makes absolutely no sense. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk some Major League Baseball. We'll talk Josh Hader. That's a whole other disaster in itself. The Mets just continue to implode. We'll give you our Mojo Monday. A little bit of a shorter episode this week, but we're still bringing it. You are listening to The Cheap Seats here on a Monday on the Public House Media Network, presented by Squadcast.fm.
This is Ryan Pierce, host of Completely Serious here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Completely Serious, where we talk about sports and have fun with great guests. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Completely Serious. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
I make it say, oh, 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 oh. When
poker face. Close up shop here on this Monday, July 23rd, 2018. Christian Heimel, John Lauder here with you in the Cheap Seats, presented by Squadcast.fm on the Public House Media Network. As John mentioned, a little bit of a shorter show this Monday, but we're still giving it to you the best that we possibly can in the only way that we know how, from all the way up here in the Cheap Seats. John, as I tried to mention at the very start of the show, Major League Baseball resumed after the All-Star break over the weekend. It was exciting. You had some fun games. You had a Subway Series matchup, Mets-Yankees. You had the Cubs-Cardinals just blowing each other out in a couple of games. Some exciting contests there. But most importantly, you have had trade rumors swirling all over the place. After the Manny Machado deal, Brad Hand goes to Cleveland, which I was not expecting at all. I would have expected him to go to a team that I guess was more seriously a contender, even though the Indians are going to be that in the Central, obviously. But, John, I mean, the Dodgers, I know Matt and Jake touched on it on Friday. we've talked about this a couple of times. There isn't a clear favorite in the National League. Did Machado make the Dodgers that clear favorite?
I don't think it matters because I think the American League's going to win the World Series no matter what. But yes, I do believe the Dodgers are probably the favorite now with Machado. I'm still surprised that Baltimore didn't get more. I know that Manny can walk at the end of the year and not stay where he was going, and I guess obviously that had something to do with it. But I mean, Manny Machado is a top 5 player in the league, and I don't even think that they got a top 10 prospect from the Dodgers.
Yeah, they got a couple of higher end guys, but nothing great. What I would tell you, what I was more surprised about was the fact that the Dodgers didn't send anybody, like any of their veterans who are big payroll guys. You know, they try to alleviate some payroll there because, and what that says to me is that the Dodgers are going to let Manny walk at the end of this, just because they didn't lose any payroll. Like they're still closing in right in on the salary cap, but we'll get to that into the offseason. I mean, I agree. I think they become the favorites in the National League. I don't think it matters at all. What's going to be interesting to see is what other trades are made over the next 9, 10, really next week before the trade deadline next Tuesday. Zach Britton should be on the map, I think. Obviously, you saw Jarvis Familia traded with the Mets over the weekend, and I'll touch on that. Don't worry, Mets fans. But there's a couple of others that a lot of relief pitching that is out there. And this is where I really kind of expect to see, you know, the Astros might make another move. The Red Sox, the Phillies, or the Braves, if they really want to, you know, put the hammer down in the NL East, they should make a move. The Yankees are going to need to make a move somehow, some way. So the next week is going to be really, really interesting. I don't see a position player, and I don't see another big name going. Zach Britton is probably the biggest name that is still out there, unless somehow the Mets wake the hell up and trade Jacob deGrom or Noah Syndergaard.
Now, real quick, and I would give credit if I remember who I read bringing it up. Any chance that the Nationals consider trading Bryce Harper? Because I personally, I think they should do it. Because I don't think he's coming back, and you can get a good amount for him despite his struggles this year.
I depending on what you get in return. Because here's the thing. I don't know if Bryce Harper is the issue in the Nationals clubhouse, because you saw Scherzer and Strasburg get into it over the weekend.
Right.
Strasburg coming off the DL has not been good. Trey Turner has not been as consistent as they've wanted. Scherzer has lost some of that. Harper's hitting, 220 for the year. They don't have a great outfield. They don't have a tremendous lineup, honestly. So I don't know if Harper is the guy that you get rid of. You will get a ton back. You will. So on that side of things, maybe. But I don't know if, to me, trading Bryce Harper signals we're on the edge of a rebuild. And I don't know if the Nationals need to, what the Nationals need to do is fire Dave Martinez and bring back Dusty Baker, because I don't know how you get fired after 96 wins, but whatever. That's just fine. I don't care. I'm over it at this point. But it's just like one of those things. It would be a very hard PR sell, but I kind of like it. It just depends on who and what you get back, obviously.
Speaking of PR sells, should the Mets just be burned to the ground?
That'd be too easy. That would be too easy. But yes, they should. So, and I don't want to spoil. I mean, my Mojo Monday is going to be the Mets, just in general. But oh my God, there are dumpster fires, and then there are the New York Mets, and they've been this way for 5. Like, even in the World Series, they were a dumpster fire somehow. Like, it's unbelievable that one professional sports franchise can be this inept at being a professional sports franchise. It's insane to me. And now it's almost like adding insult to injury that Noah Syndergaard has hand, foot, and mouth disease. Is this 1850 Scotland? What is going on?
Did he make out with a cow?
I don't know. Reports like he apparently hand, foot, and mouth disease is really common in children 7 and younger, and he was helping out with a kids camp, so he could have gotten it there. But like I'm sorry, there's got to be like some New York writer that just sits there, and like they've all got to get together and just go, you know what? This is even too hysterical and too embarrassing for the Mets. We shouldn't publish this. Like, this should not be a thing. We should just say Noah Syndergaard is under the weather and is going to miss a start. Like, that's what we should say.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, before you continue on your mojoing here, let's talk about Josh Hader. Obviously, if you've been living under a rock, Josh Hader, who's sort of come out of nowhere this year, superstar reliever for the Brewers, was pitching in the All-Star game. A lot of really heinous and inappropriate tweets came out that he tweeted 7 years ago. He's 24 now. He was 17 then. I'm good at math. Lots of tweets, racist, misogynistic, homophobic, and not just like rap lyrics, like stuff he clearly created of his own. Obviously, it's created a firestorm. We've seen a lot of this social media stuff in sports and otherwise, going back into people's timelines and things like that. He was given a standing ovation for the Brewers' first game back, which was really weird and embarrassing. And of course, a lot of the people standing up were white. He's apologized to the clubhouse. He's apologized in front of TV cameras about 30 times. He's apparently doing some sort of sensitivity training now. Most of his Brewers teammates, both black and white, have come out in support of him. If he had a 10 ERA, would they feel the same way? I doubt it. I've had a lot of trouble with this, Christian, because at first I felt kind of bad for him. Then, when you see that it's like 100 tweets, to get no sort of suspension or anything, I find a little bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, so this is tough on a number of levels for me. So Josh and I we shared the same high school. He graduated a few years after me at Old Mill High School in Millersville, Maryland. Was drafted out of Old Mill. I knew him on the Little League circuit because I coached Little League in the area. Very talented kid, but obviously disappointing to see all this stuff. And 17 years old, I mean, listen, I understand it. 17 years old, everybody does something stupid. The problem is he did his online where it lives forever, and it wasn't just a phase. It was a trend. And so sensitivity training 100% is a must. I firmly agree, John. There should have been probably some sort of suspension, and maybe it should have been something from the Brewers, where it's like, hey, listen, take your lumps. We're going to sit you out for the weekend series. You're going to be suspended 3 games. But understand the PR hit. We understand that you have evolved. You have grown as a human being. You're going to go through the sensitivity training, and everything will be fine. So it's a little strange to me that a suspension wasn't added on to this. But at the same time, I have a hard time struggling with – I really struggle with this stuff because I'm really tired of revisionist history in general from the Internet. I understand everything lives on the Internet forever. And if this is stuff that, causes me to go back and do my own personal scrubs of my social media pages just to make sure. But at the same time, we have to stop trying to crucify people today for things they did so far ago. I mean, listen, if this was last summer, it's a different story. It's 7 years ago. And we need to be able to put that into perspective and understand that a 17-year-old kid on Twitter is probably trying to, get brownie points with his friends in the cafeteria at that point. And more so than if he actually believes it or not. If he does, it's a different story. But I like to believe that he doesn't, and that sensitivity training is going to be fine for him, and we're never going to have these issues again. But it's just that I struggle with it back and forth. I agree with you. I think there should have been a suspension. But, again, it bothers me how many people I think are calling for this guy to be released because of something that happened 7 years ago.
Inside the cheap seats here on the Public House Media Network, presented by Squadcast.fm. We're going to wrap things up here with our Mojo Monday segment. I'll go real quick and then give you the floor. Bad mojo for me, American golfers. You were all a train wreck in the 4th round and are an embarrassment to the greatest country in the world. That's it.
That's all you got?
That's it.
No Jordan Spieth 5 over as the defending champ. No, Tiger Woods played really well. It's unfortunate that we've got to put our flag on your back now, kind of thing.
They know what they did. They should be ashamed.
All right, fair enough. So more bad mojo because the Mets are just – I don't understand this. I don't get it. And Keith Law was brilliant. I don't know if anybody saw this on ESPN, but Keith Law essentially called for Major League Baseball to step in and take the Mets away from the Wilhelm because nobody should be running a professional sports franchise like this. You trade away one of your best relievers, the best reliever you have on your team in Jarvis Familia, domestic abuser aside, best reliever you have, and you get 2 nobodies in return. John, the Mets traded Jarvis Familia for you and me. That's what happened over the weekend. And that is supposed to be sold to their fan base, that everything's going to be going to be okay. You traded Matt Harvey for Devin Morosco and a bag of balls. And Matt Harvey is finding his rhythm again in Cincinnati, by the way, people. Yoenis Cespedes has an injury that he feels can only be cured with surgery that would take 8 to 10 months to recover. And he's thinking about waiting until the offseason and missing all of next year. I just don't understand how a team, a Major League professional sports franchise, can be this inept from the top down all the way to like the freaking equipment manager's son. I don't understand how they can be this bad at absolutely everything, John. I mean, I'm willing, I really am. I'm willing to start donating to a Kickstarter campaign to help what Keith Law wrote about actually happen. Because Rob Manfred, Don LaGreca is going to have an aneurysm on the air, and we cannot have that. He's come so close so many times, and we cannot allow that. I'm not saying this for the sake of my father and every other Mets fan that I know and all the other Mets fans out there. I'm saying this for the sake of the game. The Wilpons are not fit to own a professional franchise. The only thing the Mets can do right now to salvage their season is to admit that they have screwed up and sell everybody. Cespedes, Asdrubal Cabrera, Jacob deGrom, Steven Matz, Noah Syndergaard, the ball boy, anybody they can trade to get rid of and try to figure something else out. Because right now the Mets are an absolute train wreck, an embarrassment for a team that was in the World Series. They were 4 outs away from a World Series championship not 3 summers ago. And they've become this. They have become an embarrassment. And if Rob Manfred doesn't take the Mets away from the Wilpons, there will be a AAA team replacing New York on the schedule next year.
Wow. Fire. I like it.
I need a drink. I need something. Like, I just feel, I feel bad for Mets fans, and I hate that because it's kind of funny at the same time.
It is funny.
All right. Well, I hope that's gotten you guys off to a truly motivated start on this Monday morning, July 23rd, 2018. Really appreciate you being a part of the show. As always, don't forget to go to our Facebook page and vote on the poll question. After this weekend, is Tiger Woods officially back to you, yes or no? John and I are splitting the vote here on this one, so go and help us figure out who's actually right, or at least who's on your side, I should say, more than anything else. Cheap Seats by Public House Media on Facebook. Subscribe, rate, review anywhere you get your podcast. But most importantly, please go to thephmedia.com. Get yourself some awesome Cheap Seats gear, as well as check out all of our other awesome podcasts on Public House Media. Big thanks to Squadcast.fm, our presenting sponsor, as always. So happy. If you've ever wanted to do a podcast, learn about it, head over to Squadcast.fm. Catch John on Twitter at JON_LAUDER. You can find me at HRISACIMALL. New show coming out on Wednesday. As always, we appreciate you guys being up here in the Cheap Seat on the Public House Media Network.